clone cadets. Clone cadets represent the entry level of the Grand Army of the Republic, beginning their journey in the sterile training facilities of Kamino before ever seeing combat. These genetically identical soldiers are created from the template of Jango Fett, a legendary Mandalorian bounty hunter selected for his exceptional combat skills, and they undergo accelerated growth at twice the normal human rate, reaching full physical maturity in roughly 10 years instead of 20. During their development, cadets live in regimented training barracks organized into small squads of typically 5 members, where they bond with their brothers while learning the fundamentals of warfare under constant supervision. The Kamino and cloners who created them oversee their education alongside experienced bounty hunter instructors hired for their combat expertise, drilling the cadets relentlessly in tactics, weapons operation, hand-to-hand combat, vehicle piloting, and battlefield simulations. They wear lighter training armor, usually pristine white with colored markings to distinguish different squads and training groups, and must pass rigorous final tests that push them to their physical and mental limits before graduation to active service. One of the most famous cadet groups, Domino Squad, consisted of Heavy, Fives, Echo, Droidbait, and Cut-Up, who struggled through training at Tipoca City on Kamino before eventually proving themselves worthy of deployment. The training regimen includes live-fire exercises that prepare cadets for the brutal reality of war, but failure carries severe consequences for these young soldiers. Cadets who cannot meet the demanding standards face reconditioning, essentially a memory wipe that erases their developing personality, or reassignment to maintenance duties away from frontline combat operations. This intense pressure creates fierce competition and anxiety among the young clones, who are still developing their individual personalities despite their identical genetic makeup. At this stage of their lives, they have not yet earned proper names or unit designations, identified only by numerical codes like CT-5555, and their spotless armor and uncertain movements mark them as untested soldiers nervously waiting for their first real battle. Shinies. Fresh from their training on Kamino, newly deployed clone troopers are nicknamed Shinies by battle-hardened veterans due to their pristine, unmarked armor that gleams white in stark contrast to the weathered, battle-scarred equipment of experienced soldiers. These recent graduates hold the rank of private or trooper and find themselves immediately thrust into the chaos of the Clone Wars, often assigned to battalions already engaged in active combat operations across the galaxy. During the early war from 22 to 21 BBY, Shinies wore Phase 1 armor, while those deployed from 21 BBY onward received the improved Phase 2 design that offered better protection and mobility. Their armor remains completely white with only battalion colors to identify their unit, lacking the personal markings, kill tallies, or custom paint that veterans proudly display. Standard equipment includes the DC-15A blaster rifle or the shorter DC-15S carbine, thermal detonators, and basic communication gear. But Shinies often struggle to adapt to the unpredictable reality of actual combat. The Battle of Geonosis served as the first major deployment for thousands of clones, and the massive casualties demonstrated the brutal transition from simulation to war. Famous examples include Echo and Fives, who began as nervous Shinies before evolving into respected soldiers. These fresh troops typically operate by the book, following protocols rigidly, which can manifest as excessive caution or dangerous overconfidence that gets soldiers killed. Veterans view Shinies with sympathy and frustration, remembering their own difficult first battles while worrying about keeping their inexperienced brothers alive. The first few engagements prove crucial for these new soldiers, with most Shinies either adapting quickly or falling victim to inexperience. Those who survive rapidly shed their Shiny status as their armor accumulates carbon scoring, dents, and grime of war, while developing the individual personalities and tactical instincts that distinguish veterans from rookies. Within weeks or months, successful Shinies start customizing their armor and earning the respect of their brothers, transforming from nervous graduates into hardened soldiers of the Republic. Standard Clone Troopers. The backbone of the Grand Army of the Republic consists of standard clone troopers who have survived multiple engagements and evolved from nervous Shinies into battle-hardened veterans. These soldiers, holding ranks of private, corporal, or trooper, make up approximately 80% of clone forces and form the essential fighting strength of every battalion deployed during the Clone Wars. Veterans customize their armor with personal markings that tell their individual stories, including unit insignia, kill tallies, and custom paint schemes that reflect their unique personalities despite identical genetic origins. The armor itself bears visible marks of war, displaying carbon scoring from blaster fire, dents from impacts, and accumulated grime from countless battles across different worlds. Battalion colors provide visual identification, with the 501st Legion wearing distinctive blue, the 212th Attack Battalion sporting orange, and the Coruscant Guard marked by red, among other units across the Army. Veterans develop strong individual personalities and typically adopt nicknames rather than numerical designations, transforming from CT-5555 into fives, or similar identifiers that reflect their emerging humanity. Standard equipment includes the DC-15A blaster rifle for long-range combat, the DC-15S carbine for close quarters, thermal detonators, Bacta injections for emergency medicine, and communications gear for coordination. These clones specialize in infantry tactics, including assault operations, defensive positions, urban combat, and vehicle operation, adapting their training to any battlefield environment. Famous examples include Hardcase, known for his enthusiasm, Tup, whose chip malfunction revealed Order 66, Dogma, and partners Waxer and Boyle, who showed compassion during Ryloth's liberation. Veterans serve 1 to 3 years of Clone Wars service, equivalent to 2 to 6 years of normal aging due to genetic acceleration. They deploy across major battles on Christophsis, Ryloth, Umbra, Geonosis, and Coruscant, witnessing the war's full scope. These veterans develop deep loyalty to Jedi generals like Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Plo Koon, who treat them as individuals rather than disposable assets. However, some witness morally questionable actions and begin questioning orders during particularly brutal campaigns like Umbara. The camaraderie they build with their brothers transcends genetic programming, forming genuine friendships and emotional bonds. This emotional depth becomes the heart of the Clone Wars narrative, showing that despite being created for war, these men possess genuine humanity. Specialized clone units. Beyond standard infantry service, specialized clone units fill crucial tactical roles that require additional training and modified equipment, representing approximately 15 to 20% of the Grand Army of the Republic's total forces. Advanced Recon Force Troopers, commonly known as ARF Troopers, operate as scouts and reconnaissance specialists, wearing lighter armor often painted in gray or brown camouflage patterns suited for their environment. And they pilot ATRT walkers and bark speeders during operations on planets like Kamino and in forest or jungle terrain. Clone pilots undergo intensive flight training to operate the Republic's diverse aircraft, including LAAT gunships that transport troops into battle, ARC-170 starfighters capable of space combat, V-19 Torrent interceptors, and Y-wing bombers, wearing specialized flight suits with distinctive enclosed helmets featuring yellow or orange visors that protect them during high-speed maneuvers. Notable pilots include Oddball, who flew numerous missions supporting ground forces, Warthog and Hawk, who served with distinction throughout the war. Heavy weapons specialists carry reinforced armor plating to protect them, while operating devastating weapons like the Z6 rotary cannon that fires hundreds of blaster bolts per minute, rocket launchers capable of destroying vehicles, and heavy repeating blasters that provide sustained suppressive fire during assaults. Hardcase, a member of the 501st Legion, exemplified the heavy weapons specialist role with his enthusiastic personality and preference for the rotary cannon during combat operations. Clone medics wear distinctive red cross markings on their white armor and carry medical supplies including Bacta treatments, emergency surgical equipment, and portable healing devices, providing critical battlefield medicine that saves countless lives during engagements, with Kick serving as the 501st's dedicated medic. Clone engineers handled technical challenges, including demolitions work using fusion cutters and explosives, vehicle repair to keep the army mobile, and fortification construction that secures positions against enemy attack. These specialized roles enable complex combined arms operations that integrate infantry, armor, artillery, and air support into cohesive battlefield strategies that win major engagements. The technical expertise required for these positions often leads to greater independence and stronger individual personalities among specialized clones compared to standard infantry. Selection for specialized training occurs either during initial cadet evaluation, based on demonstrated aptitudes, or through battlefield performance that reveals particular talents worth developing. Higher survival rates characterize many specialized positions due to their tactical positioning away from direct frontline combat, though pilots and combat engineers face their own unique dangers during operations. Clone officers. Field leadership within clone battalions falls to clone officers, including sergeants, who command squads of 9 to 12 troopers, and lieutenants, who lead platoons containing 36 to 48 soldiers. These clones receive promotion based on demonstrated combat effectiveness, tactical thinking, and natural leadership abilities that emerge during battle, setting them apart from their brothers through both capability and responsibility. Sergeants wear distinctive rank indicators, including single stripes or specific color patterns on their helmets and shoulders, while lieutenants display double stripes or unique pauldrons that signal their authority to subordinates. Notable sergeants include Apo of the 501st, who later received promotion to commander, Korik of the 212th Attack Battalion, and Sinker of the Wolf Pack, serving under Commander Wolf in the 104th Battalion. Lieutenant Thier commanded Coruscant Guard units protecting the Republic capital, while Lieutenant Gale served under Jedi General Ki-Adi-Mundi during multiple campaigns. Officers carry standard DC-15 blaster weaponry, supplemented by command datapads containing tactical information, enhanced communications gear that connects them to air support and artillery assets, and sometimes DC-17 hand blasters as secondary weapons for close combat situations. The military command structure flows from squads to platoons to companies, and finally battalions, with clone officers working closely alongside Jedi Padawans and commanders who provide strategic direction while the officers handle tactical execution. Officers develop crucial relationships with their squads, building cohesion through direct leadership and shared danger that creates bonds of trust essential for battlefield effectiveness. They serve as vital intermediaries between frontline troops who fight and die in the trenches and higher command, making strategic decisions that determine entire campaigns. This position carries immense moral weight since officers must order their genetic brothers into situations where death becomes likely or certain, creating psychological burdens unique to the clone army. During the Umbara campaign, some officers struggled with following orders from the temporary Jedi General Pong Krell, whose callous tactics resulted in massive clone casualties and eventually revealed his betrayal of the Republic. Officers maintain discipline and morale within their units while advocating for their soldiers' welfare when possible, though ultimately they must execute orders regardless of personal feelings. Heavy casualties throughout the war created promotion opportunities as officers fell in battle, allowing capable troopers to advance rapidly through ranks based on merit and survival, rather than traditional military career progression. ARC troopers. Advanced Recon Commandos represent the elite special forces of the clone army, comprising roughly 1% of all clones through rigorous selection from proven combat veterans who demonstrate exceptional tactical thinking and creative problem-solving abilities. ARC troopers deploy on high-risk missions, including sabotage of enemy installations, assassination of separatist leaders, rescue operations behind enemy lines, and extended reconnaissance in hostile territory, often operating independently or in small teams without direct support. Their heavily customized Phase 2 armor features additional equipment, including pauldrons on the shoulders, commas providing waist and upper leg protection, rangefinders for enhanced targeting, and often jetpacks for aerial mobility during combat operations. The signature ARC trooper weapons consist of dual DC-17 hand blasters carried in holsters on their thighs or hips, offering rapid-fire capability and maneuverability in close-quarters combat that standard rifles cannot match. Famous ARC troopers include Fives, designated CT-5555, who discovered the inhibitor chip conspiracy that would eventually trigger Order 66, but was killed by Coruscant Guard forces before he could fully expose the plot to the Jedi. Echo, designated CT-1409, served alongside Fives until his apparent death during the Citadel rescue mission, though he survived as a separatist prisoner and was converted into a cyborg before his eventual rescue and return to Republic service. Jesse, designated CT-5597, fought with distinction in the 501st Legion under Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano throughout numerous campaigns. Captain Rex, while not originally an ARC trooper, achieved equivalent status through his exceptional leadership and later removed his inhibitor chip, allowing him to survive Order 66 and eventually join the Rebel Alliance. ARC training emphasizes independence and unconventional warfare tactics that contrast sharply with standard clone programming, encouraging these elite soldiers to think creatively and ignore standard protocols when mission success demands adaptation. Some early Alpha-class ARCs received direct training from Jango Fett himself before his death on Geonosis. though this distinction exists primarily in older records. These elite commandos infiltrate separatist facilities to gather intelligence or plant explosives, conduct assassination missions against high-value targets, train and lead regular clone units during complex operations, and perform other critical tasks that standard troopers lack the specialized skills to accomplish. Their greater autonomy allows stronger personal identities to develop, with ARC troopers often forming close friendships with Jedi generals like Anakin, who respect their capabilities and judgment. After the war ended, some ARCs removed their inhibitor chips and deserted Imperial service, recognizing the Empire's evil nature. Clone Commanders. Clone commanders represent the highest officer rank achievable by clones, equivalent to military generals with only a few dozen existing across the entire Grand Army of the Republic. To lead battalions of 576 or more troopers, these exceptional soldiers work as co-commanders alongside Jedi generals, contributing tactical expertise and ground-level battlefield understanding to strategic planning while maintaining authority to make independent decisions during combat operations. Commander Cody, designated CC-2224, led the 212th Attack Battalion under Jedi General Obi-Wan Kenobi, wearing distinctive orange armor markings with a visor attachment and rangefinder on his helmet. And he demonstrated tactical brilliance throughout the war before executing Order 66 against Obi-Wan on Utapau. Commander Rex, designated CT-7567, commanded the 501st Legion under Anakin Skywalker, displaying blue armor decorated with Jag eyes, a Mandalorian honor symbol, and he later removed his inhibitor chip, which allowed him to survive Order 66 and eventually fight with the Rebel Alliance decades later. Commander Wolf, designated CC-3636, led the 104th Battalion known as the Wolf Pack under Plo Koon, wearing gray armor and sporting a cybernetic eye replacement after losing his original eye in battle, and he also removed his chip to survive Order 66. Commander Gree, designated CC-1004, commanded the 41st Elite Corps under Luminara Unduli while wearing green camouflage armor suited for jungle operations. But Jedi Master Yoda beheaded him when he attempted to execute Order 66 on Kashyyyk. Commander Bly, designated CC-5052, led the 327th Star Corps under Aayla Secura with distinctive yellow armor markings, and he successfully executed Order 66 against Aayla on Felucia. These commanders wore fully customized Phase 2 armor featuring unique paint schemes, additional armor pieces including pauldrons and commas, helmet attachments, and sometimes personal trophies or weapons that reflected their individual personalities. They carried DC-15 weapons supplemented by personal sidearms and utilized advanced tactical displays with enhanced communication systems that coordinated entire battalions across complex battlefields. The tragedy of Order 66 defined these commanders' legacy, as inhibitor chips implanted in their brains forced them to turn against Jedi they had fought beside for years, betraying bonds of trust and friendship in an instant. Those few commanders who removed their chips, like Rex and Wolf, demonstrated that clones possessed genuine free will and moral agency when freed from Republic programming, becoming symbols of both the clones' humanity and their potential for independent choice beyond their designed purpose as soldiers. If you want to see more, click the video on screen now.